Section 5.4, Scales of the Piano. And of course, in this chapter, we're going to be dealing with major scales involving flats. So just as you had last chapter, you've got a total of 8 scales notated below for you. Yes, we include C major, which doesn't have any flats, but we also have all the others from 1 flat up to 7 flats in C flat major. Everything is notated as before in treble clef, so you're going to be playing these with your right hand at first. And we have the appropriate key signatures, and of course we have the fingering patterns for each of these scales. These are the fingering patterns that have just been inherited over many, many years in piano technique, so these are the commonly accepted fingerings. Now note that these are a little bit trickier than the fingerings for the sharp major scales, and that's because for the most part, like in most cases, we're beginning on a black key, so we can't really begin with our thumb if we follow that principle of not using the thumb to play a black key. So again, these fingering patterns, a little bit trickier, but that's because we're trying to accommodate for the fact that we're beginning most of these scales on black keys. So I'm going to demonstrate all of these for you in just a moment so you can begin working on them. But let me give you a quick heads up on numbers 2 and 3 of this exercise, just so we get that out of the way. So in number 2, yes, absolutely learn to play all of these from memory with your right hand. And as we said, since the fingering patterns are a little bit trickier here, try to bite off just 1 or 2 at a time. Maybe do a couple for a day or 2, let them settle, and then proceed to the next couple. That way you have time to digest them before you move on to new material. For number 3, when you're playing these with your left hand, the same principles apply, like avoid using the thumb for a black key, and just begin with the lowest available finger that makes sense. So you can actually kind of figure these out, again, using these same principles. A quick aside, yes, when I'm playing real actual music, it's totally fine to use your thumbs on the black keys. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that that is the tradition in playing scales. We tend not to use the thumb for black keys in scales, at least. So all that out of the way, let's go to town with our scales here. So I'm going to adjust the angle. I'm going to set it so that you can see the keyboard a little bit better, and I'll narrate as we go. So here we go. So C major scale, same as before. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know that from the last chapter. Now F major has 1 flat, and it's a B flat. So it happens to be the 4th note of the scale. So we're going to use the fingering 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty easy to memorize. And when you play it, now for B flat major, we've got 2 flats, so B flat and E flat. We're going to start with our 2nd finger, and along the way, we will cross our thumb under twice. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And here it is played. Now E flat major has 3 flats. We're again going to start with our 2nd finger. It goes like this. A flat major, 4 flats to keep track of. Now D flat major, you already know this scale. D flat major is exactly the same fingering, and it's exactly the same keys on the piano keyboard as, that's right, C sharp major. You know that this note right here sometimes goes by the name of C sharp, sometimes goes by the name of D flat. So this fingering that I'm giving you for D flat major is exactly the same fingering as for C sharp major. So if you practiced all of the scales last chapter, you already know this one. G flat major, similar case here. What's another name for G flat? Well, F sharp. You already learned an F sharp major scale in the last chapter, so it's exactly the same fingering. And finally, maybe a surprising one, C flat major. example, C flat is that note right there, right? That note also goes by the name of B. So the C flat major scale on the keyboard is identical to the B major scale, which actually does have that nice pattern of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it matches your B major scale fingering.